This is a true story. We were staying in this fancy hotel for my cousin's wedding. I was 12. I woke up to a rough shove, assuming that my sister was waking me up. It was early morning, about 7:30. I groggily stepped out of bed and was hit with hairspray fumes. I heard the sound of someone taking a shower, as well as loud hurried footsteps and repetitive spritzes of the hairspray can. I walked to the dresser and pulled out a blouse and a skirt. As I got dressed, I heard knocking on my door. I pulled my top fully on and opened the door. There was no one there. I was kind of freaked out right now, but I knew that it must be my imagination, as I was about half asleep at the time. I exited the bedroom. I heard the shower shut off as I passed the lavatory, then my father's heavy footsteps. At the end of the hall, there was another restroom. I heard repetitive spritzes coming from there and called my mother. "Hey, Mom, I need to pee," and Dad's in the other bathroom. I heard my mother's voice, "Alrighty." It was definitely her voice, but "alrighty" was not something she had ever said. I rolled my eyes and walked away. I figured that I should wake my granddad, as I heard heavy snores coming from the room that he was sharing with my parents. I wondered why my parents hadn't woken him up. When I opened the door, I was scared to see that the room was empty. Just then, the noises and the smell of hairspray stopped. I ran downstairs and saw that my roommates, Dad, Mom, Granddad, Clarissa, were already eating breakfast. I checked my watch and saw that it was already 10 o'clock. My mom stared at me. "What Ash?" I thought. My sister then said, "What the heck?" I asked them what was wrong. My sister then said, "You literally just went to the bathroom," and pointed to the lavatory next to the small kitchen area. I walked over there and pressed my ear to the door. Sure enough, someone was there, washing their hands. I shook it off and counted my fingers. 10 of them. I wasn't dreaming. I knocked on the door, and inside the bathroom, I heard my own voice, calling out, "Alrighty." I looked over at my parents, sister, and granddad, who were all pale. Behind my back, I heard the lock click, followed by my own voice saying, "Hey there, Sarah." And footsteps. I turned around just in time to see my own feet, dressed in my black velvet flats, turning the corner on the staircase. I felt paralyzed with fear, and goosebumps crept up my back. I wasn't able to move for about a minute before I told my family all about what had happened a few moments ago. My sister told me that yesterday when she woke up, I wasn't in my bed, but she heard noises coming from the bathroom. When she went there, she saw me walking down the hall in my pajamas and called out to me, but I kept walking. When she went back to my room, I was still sleeping in my bed. She freaked out and didn't tell anyone. Fast forward to 2 years later. My cousin now has a 6-month-old baby, and we're talking to each other over tea. I told my cousin about what happened to me and my sister, and she froze. "That happened to you too?" she said. I felt the goosebumps return to my arms and legs. She then told me that she had woken up and walked downstairs, when she saw her fiancé, now husband, sitting at the table, eating cereal. He greeted her, then said that he was going to get something from upstairs. It took him some time. Eventually, she felt sort of concerned and went to check on him. He was asleep, still in his pajamas. Before we continue, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. I have lots of real horror experienced. But the worst or the most unforgettable experience was when I was a third-year high school student. I am a working student in my high school days. I worked and study at the same time. The house that I worked with is owned by my grandmother's friend, and she worked in this house before as a housemaid. And now it's my turn, so I can continue studying since we were poor. The owner of the house was a retired soldier and his wife is a retired teacher. The house was full of mystery since it was built before World War II and was renovated after the war, but just half of the house was remodeled. Until now the old furniture is still there. Well, at the time that I worked there, the only person in the house is the retired teacher and me and her grandson who just stayed in the house during the day, and at night he was out of the house. One day the owner of the house went to the city and I was left alone. I have the chores around 6 a.m. I love dancing, so I turn on the radio and play the song, Spaghetting Pababa. That's one of the best songs of that time. I danced in front of the mirror, and the mirror was so old there was even a little flower that was carved on it, and you can see the stairs in the mirror. As for the location of the stairs reflected in the mirror, I kept on dancing because I really love dancing. I can see that someone is watching me. I stop and turn around, but nobody was there. Until I stopped dancing and look in the mirror and saw a figure like a human figure. It's a guy just like the same as my age before. I was like 14 years old at that time. He wore all white clothes and he has a one-length hairstyle. He looks cute. He smiled at me and I'm like a frozen donut. I can't move at all. Because I know that I'm the only person left in the big house. I tried to shout, but nobody can hear me because the radio was on its full volume. When the music stopped and tried to look back at the stairs if he was really there, but I can't see him. I can only see him in the mirror. It lasted for about 3 minutes. I asked the owner who was that boy, and she then told me that one of her grandsons died in the house because it was very sick and he could be the same age as my age at that time. I'm already 29 years old today, but until now I can't forget those moments. He just smiled at me and he was so handsome. And the owner is still alive as to date, I mean only the wife. I am a big believer of paranormal, and maybe this is the reason that I have had a couple of paranormal experiences. I was born in the Dune Valley of Uttarakhand, and there, during my childhood I saw a lot of rituals, which aroused my interest in the paranormal world. But after I moved out of the valley, my passion somehow got lost in day-to-day life and I stopped pondering over such issues. But the fate has kept some other plans for me. So, the things took turn after several years. At that time I was working in some company and was posted in Gujarat. As required by my job, I had to stay in a remote village, where I used to stay alone in a 3 BHK flat. It was there, my lost passion for the paranormal resurfaced again. I started reading more and more about such things and got so engrossed in it that I never felt when things started changing. Now I was a changed person. I had lost my sleep, I had stopped eating regularly, and I started losing my weight. I used to stay lost in myself, but I couldn't stop reading about paranormal stuff. After a couple of days I started feeling the presence of something near me. I couldn't explain it, but I used to get terrified whenever that thing used to come. I could see its apparition through the corner of my eye, but I kept on ignoring it. I thought my mind is playing games and there is no such thing. It continued for some days, then one night when I was sleeping something happened with me. I was sleeping on my bed and again I felt that presence. I was still in sleep that I took out my phone and started an app for checking the magnetic field in the room. But, before I could check the field, suddenly the books in the shelf started falling. I was shocked. I couldn't move. There was no earthquake or any other vibrations that could have caused it. That night I couldn't sleep. From the very next day I stopped reading paranormal stuff, I stopped trying to contact with the dead, trying that silly Ouija board, and started doing puja in my room. Things started improving after that, and again I started living a normal life. After few months I got transferred to Panipat in Haryana. Things were back to the normal and I was happy. One day I had a chat with a friend of mine, and one thing led to another and again we were discussing the paranormal. Now once again I was drawn into that dark world. When I came back, I started doing the same things. So again, the atmosphere of my new house started deteriorating and I again came back to the same state from which I had somehow managed to escape. This time something even more terrifying happened with me. One day while I was asleep, I felt something approached me. That thing whispered into my ears, "Parso," meaning day after tomorrow. I suddenly got up and was scared like hell. This time it was a lady who said this to me. At that time I couldn't understand what has just happened to me, as was alone and all the doors were shut and there was no one except me in that room. Again I tried to convince myself that it was just a dream, but unfortunately it was not a dream. I met with an accident while I was riding, the day after tomorrow. The accident badly injured my arm and legs. Luckily I was wearing helmet, otherwise who knows what could have happened. Now while I am writing this, I am afraid that it will all start again. Also I have moved to a new place, and this place hasn't still seen the dark side of my life.